Hello, my name's Shira Neiman. I'm the author of River, published by Guernica. And this is a novel about a young woman in her late 20s who's pregnant, American woman who goes to Australia to visit her grandmother who's very ill and dying. And she takes her husband with her. And on the plane, she remembers a very strange summer from when she was 14 and spent the summer visiting her grandmother while her mother was ill herself with cancer. And she's really repressed what happened that summer. And we discover after the prologue, and actually into the end of the first chapter, that in fact there's a space that opens up in time, and she travels back in time, and each chapter is set in a different time and place where this young woman meets at the age of 14 her mother when she was 14 in Australia, then her grandmother when she was 14 in South Africa, and then her great-grandmother when she was 14 in Lithuania, and then she tumbles all the way back to biblical times and meets her own 14-year-old progenitor from long ago, who's actually on the eve of her wedding day, as people married very young then, often in biblical times. And so we see her traveling through her family history, which, as I say, is really taken from my own personal family history. So I'm going to read you the beginning of the first chapter. So after we discover that this young woman's gone back to Australia and all that, the adventures from that time come tumbling back to her, she's sort of repressed them, and she stays up all night telling her husband the story of what happened, and we hear it in the first person here, chapter 1. The summer I turned 14 was a time of extremes, excitement and fear, fun times and peril, togetherness and wrenching apart. Mama and Papa had talked about the cross-country trip for as long as I could remember. The big family adventure had existed in the distant future like a shining North Star. I think I didn't quite expect it to happen. Then that Friday evening before our final week of school, they announced their plan. Mama looked secretive and happy as she cooked our favourite meal of salmon and fried rice. She stood by the stove, framed by the picture window that looked out onto our small Brooklyn backyard. The overgrown yew trees, scraggly against the darkening sky, hugged the clubhouse we'd built for Billy with its cedar-shingled sides, pitched tar roof, and tiny double-paned windows we'd bought at Home Depot. Mama looked small by the window, which came as a jolt. My mama, who had always been larger than life to me, with her electric energy and heightened good cheer. The cooking fan hummed and the blue tile above the stove twinkled. I glanced around the loft-like space, Papa on his computer at the kitchen table, Billy drawing at the kiddie table in the corner under the leaves of the ficus tree Mama had planted when Billy was born that now reached almost to the ceiling. Want to help, Billy? I asked, and he jumped up from his chair. I do the napkins, he said. And how about the forks and spoons? You can crack open the eggs when you're done, Mama said. She always put the little ribbons of fried egg into the rice last so that they'd be fresh and fluffy. Billy grinned so widely his lips seemed to disappear. He loved cracking the eggs. With everything ready, Papa put away his computer and we sat down to eat. Billy offered one of his original versions of Grace. Thank you, universe, for this wonderful life. Papa smiled. You got that right, Billy, he said, looking back and forth between my face and Billy's. Tell you what, kids, it's happening from sea to shining sea. I knew immediately what he meant. Our trip, I said to Billy. The great big ride across our great big country. Billy was a sponge for whatever emotion was coursing through our family. He jumped up from his seat, oh boy, and did a little happy dance, nose crinkling with joy. All that weekend, our apartment was a frenzy of duffel bags and guidebooks, things being searched for, lists being made. Papa taped a huge map of the United States onto the dining room wall, and we all had to say one place we most wanted to go. Where's SeaWorld? Billy asked, peering anxiously at the map from his perch on the dining room chair. SeaWorld isn't on the map, I said. I'm going to see the whales, dolphins too, he said with 5-year-old determination. Papa wrote SeaWorld in red magic marker right over Orlando in Florida, adding NASA, his own choice, nearby in black. The Pacific, Mama said. That's when I noticed something new in her face, a grey shade in her skin that seemed part mood and part sky and felt like a cold wind brewing with storm. What is it, Mama? I asked, scanning her face. Her eyes creased with smile and her features relaxed, but the blue-grey was still there and it sent a shiver of panic through me. I've always loved the ocean, you know that, she said, and the Pacific joins my new home to my old one. Mum had come from Australia to the United States to go to graduate school and then stayed when she met Papa. If you stand on the cliffs at Santa Cruz, you can hear the seagulls singing Waltzing Matilda. She knew my question was about the strangeness in her face, not about why she wanted to see the Pacific. But her smile told me to leave it alone, to look at the map with the rest of the family, to tumble into the excitement of planning our America-sized journey. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.